Hello, hello. Welcome to Mindset to Results. Today our guest is Carolyn Boras, and we have an amazing topic to discuss because Carolyn is certified hypnotherapist and also a Rapid Transformational Coach who was trained by Marisa Peer, and it is very powerful techniques. And we have Carolyn today to share with us about her experience, how she transformed her life from being a teacher for 45 years and then becoming therapist, having her own business and sharing her wisdom and knowledge, helping people throughout the world. Hi, Caroline.
Hi. Thank you for asking me here.
Yeah, you're most welcome. We know that many people work for somebody. Yeah, and then they don't feel, many of them don't feel that this is right thing to do. Yes, they did study, yeah, they graduated, they spend so much time, but they come to the point in life when they don't enjoy. Yes, they don't enjoy. They feel that this is something bigger for me. I don't enjoy. I don't want just to live from check to check, that somebody else will tell me when I can take vacation 21 days a year. Yes, and yeah, it is, of course, stressful to change your identity because it is different mindset. People who work for somebody and have that security, stability, and then start a new business when it is so much uncertainty and so many things unknown, and when they have to wear so many different hats. So I think it will be great to discuss today how to change that identity, how to overcome the doubts and self-doubt, yes, and make decision, see yourself successful doing business, exactly how you did that.
Okay, well, as you mentioned, I was a teacher for 45 years, and I was happily going along my merry way, thinking I would, I don't know, do this business that I'm currently in part-time, and I would do it full-time when I felt ready. But life has a way of making you ready when you think you're not ready. And I had a health scare which caused me to, number one, be very grateful that I was given a second chance, because I know many people don't get a second chance at life. And it pushed me to decide that I had to honor this second chance that I was given. So I needed to use these skills that I had acquired with Marisa Peer, with rapid transformational therapy, and with hypnotherapy. And I decided now was the time to open my own business and to do this full time. And as you mentioned, it was totally scary and nerve-wracking because I had been an employee for all those years. And all of a sudden, now, how was I going to make all of these pieces fit together? And so I had to decide that there were so many people out there who need my help, who need to hear the message that I have, who could benefit from the tools and the skills that I have, that it was almost my duty to put myself out there so I could help people. And so I had to have that huge mindset shift that now I'm helping another group of people that I never helped before. And so that whole mindset shift, it's a huge thing to do. You have to see yourself successful as that business person. If you don't future pace yourself, then it'll never happen, because you will stay stuck right where you are doing the same thing over and over again, because you'll be too afraid to break out of the cycle that you're in. So it takes courage, it takes determination, it takes mindset shift, and you have to have flexibility, and you have to be willing to pivot really quickly. because you're going to have to make changes as your new path now unfolds before you. And the new path, we end up being, I think, so afraid because we can't see the path before us. But, the path opens up as you put one foot ahead of the other and start taking the steps. Then you find out where to go. But so many of us, we want to have the plan all perfectly laid out before we decide to make the jump into starting my own business or going into starting my own business or going into a different department or whatever decision that we're facing. We have to realize that the path opens up as we start to move along the path.
Yes, yes, so true. We never know how it will go, and you never should have the plan because you have the goal, what you want to have, where you see yourself in future. And the path can change on the way because you never know. The goal doesn't change, but the way
That's
can
right.
change. Yes,
That's right.
yes, exactly. Like if when we drive, there can be accident, and we have to
Yes.
change and pivot and to go different road. But we get
Yes.
to this. We have in our mind the same goal, the same destination.
Correct. And I think that because we're so afraid of the unknown, we don't know what's going to happen. Well, we never know what's going to happen. We only think we know, right? But because we want to start in this new direction, we're so afraid of what it's all going to involve. We want to see the whole picture and we want it to be the perfect picture, but perfection does not exist. And so because we want it to be perfect, then we end up with fear paralysis. We're so paralyzed with fear, we don't do anything, even though we're unhappy working for that boss, we're unhappy with that paycheck that's not enough to get us through to the end of the month. We're unhappy in that toxic environment or with the toxic colleagues or not having enough holiday time with our family, or we're not happy with the fact that there's no work-life balance, but the fear keeps us stuck. And so many people don't take that first step.
Yeah, I like how you say that fear keeps us stuck. So don't let fear to keep you stuck. And it helps to overcome that fear when we understand why it happens. Like that fear is just a natural process. Fear is a reaction of your brain to something unknown. So
That's
anything
right.
new, yes, anything you want to do, your brain will automatically create a wall. Yes, the
Yes,
wall that will be fear
right.
and doubt. And when we know that it is just a response of our
Mm.
brain to unknown situation, because it wants
Yes,
to protect us, to keep us in the past,
yes,
what is already known. But on the other
exactly.
hand, we don't want to repeat the same, right, patterns.
Right,
That is why when we understand that we will feel the fear and it is normal, we just have to
right.
continue doing our steps and break through this wall and
That's right. That's
to
right.
the different side.
That's right. Because your brain will move you away from fear, away from
Your
your brain
goal.
will move you away from what is unpleasant and it will move you towards the thing that's pleasant. So your brain doesn't like the unknown. Your brain likes everything that it already knows, and it already knows what it's like being in that job that you don't like, but it doesn't know what's over there where you want to go. So it'll keep you there because it's trying to keep you safe. But the fear is responsible for all those things, that inner voice that you hear, that, well, what happens if it doesn't work? What happens if I have to come crawling back? What are my family and friends going to say? What am I going to say? It might not work out. It might be worse than what I'm already in. And those are the lies that the fear keeps telling us. Your brain keeps going round and round and round with those looping thoughts. And I think that so many of us, we have these limiting beliefs, and we don't even know that we function from the limiting belief. So if your limiting belief is, well, I'll never be a success at this because my father wasn't, then that limiting belief is going to drive your behavior. And you don't necessarily know that that's what your limiting belief is. You just know that you keep staying stuck in the same dead-end job, the same dead-end relationships. You're not making enough money. But with RTT and rapid transformational therapy, what we do is we use hypnotherapy to access the subconscious to find out where that limiting belief came from, why you have it, and then we flip it. And once you flip that limiting belief, then people are free to, to live the life that they want. But unless you know what beliefs are holding you back, well, you can't change what you don't know, right? You just know that you keep getting the same results. So it's really important to do a lot of deep reflection to find out, okay, what do I think is holding me back? Where do I think this came from? And now what do I need to do to change this?
Yes, yes, so true. And also you can become aware of your inner dialogue. Yes,
Yeah,
what do
absolutely.
you say to yourself? Yes, and you can write it down. If you
Sure.
yes, when you become aware, any negative thought, any limiting thought which come to your mind, write it down, because
Right.
it is the same thoughts. It is the same thoughts uh, which repeating like tape. Yes, like that old tape.
Looping.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, like recording, right? Like
Yeah.
recording tape, which just goes to the same route again and again.
Right.
And
Right.
first step is to identify those
Sure.
negative thoughts. This is how you will know what your limiting beliefs are. And
Mhm.
then you write them down and then paraphrase them, right? Like
Sure.
negative, what you have, right? Opposite. And
Sure.
then learn that negative and start reading those opposite, because this will be your mantras. Yes, this will
Right.
be affirmation to address those negative thoughts and start im- putting them, impressing them into your subconscious mind to change.
Sure.
And
Sure.
when your inner dialogue changes, this is how you will start thinking different, acting different.
Absolutely, because the problem is, there is this what is the word that I'm looking for? There's this in because I can't think of the word, there's this kind of fight going on inside. Well, I want to do this. Well, what happens if I fail? I want to go there, but I don't know enough about this topic. But I want to do because I think I can do better. But you tried that before and it didn't work. So we end up staying stuck because we've got these two versions of ourselves happening. And I think if some people might be thinking, well, yes, I'd like to start my own business. I'd like to go off on my own, but I have no idea what I would do. One of the things that they could do is, and this again requires a lot of reflection, they can go back and think back, well, when they were a kid of about 9 or 10 years old, what were their interests? What did they like to do? And you can dialogue and meditate on that if you want, or you can journal that, and then go back and think, well, why haven't I kept that up? And then go back and think about that. And then, okay, if I did keep that up, if I did that now, well, then what would happen? And so again, you future pace yourself. Okay, what would that look like if I got back into that thing that I really, really liked when I was 9 or 10? But I got shut down because my dad said, well, you'll never make a living doing that. So you may as well do this other thing, right? So again, it's a lot of self-reflection and finding out what could possibly be holding you back. And and that gets into what is the fear all about as well.
Yes, right. When we want to do something new, automatically our brain will tell us, what if you fail? What if you lose
Exactly.
money? What if it doesn't
Exactly.
work? So this is,
Yeah.
again, we should understand that we are not our brain. Brain is just receiving station and sending station. It is like radio, like
Mhm.
receiving frequency, sending frequency. Yes, so when we understand that we are not our brain, and we have to identify that conversation and understand that we have reason. Yes, we have
Hmm.
reasoning factor.
Yeah,
We have high
yeah,
high mental faculty, which is reasoning. And then we start thinking, instead of just going on autopilot to that negative talk, we
yeah,
can choose intentively what we want to think about. And in this case, for example, instead of thinking, what if I fail? And then we start seeing all these negative pictures and
yes,
losses, we can choose, what if it works?
yes,
What if it
yes,
works? And when you start choosing this thought, what if I succeed? What if it works? How my
yes,
life will become, how I will feel, what I will do, where I will go, and what
yes,
opportunities I will have. And if you choose the right thoughts, this is how you will start feel better, and you can start see that big picture. And then you
sure,
will have that inspiration to move to that direction. And again, you
yes,
will have fear, but when you know that it is just a natural process, this is just your brain, or also so-called saboteurs, right? We have
yeah,
all these saboteurs, which those programs which use our strength, but they abuse this our strength, and they make it negative. So we can just identify that it is my saboteur voice. It isn't me, not me. That is, for example, judge or avoider or
yes,
thing, right? So when you start identifying that it is not you, but you is somebody who make decision consciously, attentively, and you choose what is positive, choose your dreams, choose from the place of believing in yourself, not from
yes,
the place of fear, choose from
yes.
place of faith, and seeing yourself in a bigger picture.
Imagine what would happen if that negative voice that just never stops going, telling you why you're wrong and you'll never do. Imagine if that voice was turned into a cheerleader. Imagine what your life would be like, right? If it was cheering you on. Yes, you can do it. Yes, you have the skills. You've always been a good decision maker. You've always had the courage to do this. You've had determination before. You can do it. You've made hard decisions before. What is that? Imagine if that program was running instead of the other one. I mean, the sky would be the limit, right? And so I think that, one of the other, some of the other reasons that keep people stuck is that they want to go out in this new direction, but they feel guilty for wanting more because their parents only had certain amount of whatever, or their father never achieved success until he was, I don't know, let's say 45, but I'm only 37. Could I be more successful than my father at 37? Like, and how does that make you feel? So they feel guilty about wanting more. They might also feel guilty because they've put in all of this time and money and effort and training in this particular field, and now they're not happy and they want to change. Well, was all of that a waste of time? So there's that. And then there's also well-meaning friends and family and neighbors going, well, you're making a great job. You've got a good paycheck. You have 21 days off for all. Like, what's wrong with that? Like, you should be lucky to have a job. So there's all of that. And people forget that they're carrying the weight of everyone else's expectations instead of carrying the weight of their own expectation. And they've people, we tend to forget that we have a right to our own life. But it's drowned in all of the noise that's going on around us and inside of our head that's feeding into what's going on inside of our head. So it's turning down the volume of the chatter so that we can actually hear our own inner voice. And what is it saying?
Yes, you said it so right. Yes, we live in this environment when there's so much noise outside. Yes, like people, all these programs which were installed in us when we were children and didn't choose, right, what to eat.
Right.
Parents gave us food which they liked, so automatically we
Yep.
started having the same, yes, preferences, what to like, what to wear. So many things we carry with us which were uh, uh, enforced on us by
Mhm.
other
Yes.
people when we didn't
Yes.
have choice. We were so small, and we continued because that was repeated again and again. It became our habits. So
Mhm.
it is really, if you don't like have results which you really like to have, if you're not very happy with the results, this is time to sit and be honest with yourself.
Yep.
Am
Yep.
I the person who I really want to be, or I am this person because somebody else made me this
Yes.
person and were told me that I am that person? But what
Yes.
is really my calling? What who I
Mm.
want to be? What are my dreams? And it
Yes.
is important to tap to that uh, bigger picture, create a bigger picture
Yes.
for yourself, and think that what if everything would be possible? What life you would like to
Yes.
have? What would be your perfect
Yes.
day? And just
And
write the script of your perfect day, how you see it.
yes.
Allow yourself to dream, so to see bigger
Yes.
picture, come out of the box where everyone is just put his feet
Yes.
in
Yes.
small box and just think inside of that box. Think
Yes.
from
And
infinite possibilities.
yes, yes. And I think, when people are first starting off on this, in this process, they think, oh, I don't have any dreams. I don't know what my dreams are. But you know what? We all have dreams. They're just buried on top of all of the stuff that we've had to deal with, all of the stress and the family and the work and all of the life stuff. But your dreams are there. You just have to go on an archaeological dig. You have to dig deep, and your dreams are there. They're just buried. And I think one of the other reasons that people are too afraid to start in this process is that they think that they have to have all of the answers right now. They have to totally upend their whole life before they can get to what their goal is. But there are several steps in between here and there. You don't go from point A to point Z in one fell jump. And the thing to realize is, if you make a change, whatever change you go, let's say I don't know, go into this other job or this other field, that doesn't have to be your forever job or for your forever field right now. Maybe it's something that is just the stepping stone as you are working towards whatever your goal is. And so you don't necessarily have to blow up your entire life to get to your goal. And let me give you an example. I just want to refer back to when I was teaching, because this will I think be an example of what I was just saying. So when I was teaching still back in Canada, I had been teaching for 25 years, and I was so unhappy for various reasons. And then I discovered the whole world of international teaching, which I didn't know anything about. And so I packed my bags and gave up everything, and I moved halfway around the world to start international teaching. And so I've been doing it for 20 years now, and I'm never going back home, and it was the best decision ever. Now, I know that it's not possible for teachers, for example, to move halfway around the world if they're not happy with what they're doing. Just like I know if you are a business person, it's not necessarily feasible for you to drop everything and move halfway around the world to whatever, or to go into a totally different field like right now. I know that's not feasible, but we have to understand that maybe we just need to make like some small changes as we're going along the path to start our own business. We don't have to like throw everything out right away, because I mean, that's too overwhelming and nobody's ever going to start, right? So we have to come from a place of calmness and clarity, because unless you're calm and have clarity, you're not going to know what direction to go in, because otherwise you're just making decisions from a place of crisis and chaos. And then that's going to land you in hot water. And then you're going to say, well, I know I should never have tried this. And your parents are going to, or your family are going to say, you see, we told you you shouldn't have done this. So we have to find our place of calm and where we're clear, so that we know the direction, we have an idea of the direction we want to go in. Now, maybe that means, oh, yes, we do all of this reflection, whatever, but maybe it also means talking to somebody who can help sort things out. And I don't mean talking to family and friends, because they're not always the best people to go to. I mean, they can listen, but after a while, if you're talking about the same problems in your job and your current workload and why you can't start your own business, or what, they're just going to roll their eyes and go, well, we don't want to listen to this anymore. Either make a decision or don't, but we're moving off this topic. And the thing is, your friends and your family and your colleagues, that's not their job to make that decision for you. That's not their job to be your therapist. If you need to, go and talk to somebody who's totally detached from it all, who will give you some clarity and help you sort out your direction. You don't have to, but that's a possibility. That's an option. People think there aren't options, but there are plenty of options. And I think that, people tend to ask the wrong question. They ask, why does this always happen to me? Why do I always end up, in the wrong job or in the wrong business, or working for the wrong boss? The question to ask is, what do I need to do now? And as soon as you ask that, then your brain starts generating possibilities. That's what will move you forward. What do I need to do now, at this very moment?
Yeah, such a good question. Yeah, when you ask right questions, you will get right answers.
Exactly, exactly.
Yes. And of course, you only can see what you can do. It is only you who have this vision as like glasses.
Yes,
We have glasses which were prescribed for us. If we give
yes,
these glasses to somebody else, to our friend, and say, see, oh, how you see, he will say, oh, I don't see. It is all blurrish for me. So
yes,
of course nobody can see what you can see. This is given to you. So
yes,
this is who you meant to be. You have your unique talents and gifts, and your
yes,
mission, your vision is given to you only. And you shouldn't even ask anybody, should I do that or not? Because they don't see that picture. It is not given to them. As
right.
it is more about really understanding that life is so precious. And as you said, that when you had that health issue, you understood, you realized that life is so short and life can finish anytime. And you woke
Yes,
up and you said yourself that if whatever time I have to do what I want to do, right?
yes,
Like,
yes,
and we
yes,
don't, yes, and we don't want people to wait for that moment when it is in that situation where that life is
no,
short, right? It
no,
doesn't need to be that. You can just be honest with yourself and ask yourself how you want to live and think
sure.
that you can do that.
Sure. And I had to decide, okay, so I went overseas for international teaching when I was 50. And 50 was, talking about mindset, I mean, 50 was a huge number. To me, it seemed really old at the time. And I decided that my 50s were going to be my decade of adventure. And I had teaching adventures, I had travel adventures. It was great. Then I was getting ready to turn 60. I thought, well, this is an even bigger number. Like, what do I do with that? So I decided my 60s were going to be my decade of even more adventure. And I had that. And it was in my middle 60s when I had this health issue. And so now I just recently turned 70, and I thought, now that I'm doing this full time, do you know, now that I've made this shift into business full time, I've decided my 70s are going to be my decade of my second brilliant career, because teaching was brilliant. Now this is my second brilliant career, and my 80s are going to be my, my Yoda years, where I'm really wise, I hope. And my 90s, I don't know what I'm going to do in my 90s yet, but I thought, well, I have an opportunity now in my 70s working on this full time to really help as many people out there as I can, because people need help. I mean, let's face it, people need help, so.
Yes, yes, and you look so great,
Oh,
Caroline.
thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, this is again a manifestation, yes, of right mindset. I believe that people who have that right mindset, who dream, who do what they love to do, it also reflects on how they feel, how they look, yeah, because people who don't do what they have, they're always stressed, they're always disappointed, like there is low frequency, low energy,
Mhm.
and we know that like attracts like. So if we don't feel well, if we are stressed, upset, we will be not in good energy, and it also will affect our health, yes, and how
Yes.
we feel, how
Yes.
we look. So you are a great example of,
Thank you.
yeah,
Thank you.
how to feel and look amazing, and
Thank you.
thinking
And
about
well,
big pictures.
yeah,
Yeah.
I never, well, and I never had the word retire in my vocabulary. I never intended to retire, because it just sounded so foreign. I've been working for 45 years and every day, and I thought, well, what do you do if you're not serving, if you're not giving back? What do you do? I mean, I'm living in a place right now, which is it's a big tourist place, but there are only so many tourist things I can do now that I'm living here. I mean, there are tons of things to do, but I can't be a tourist 24 hours of the day, 7 days a week. I mean, I can't, because that gets pretty tiring and pretty boring. And I want to say boring. It sounds like I'm ungrateful. I'm not ungrateful, but it gets pretty tired and tiring after a while. And so you have to have a purpose for getting up in the morning. My purpose was, teaching kids all those years. Now my purpose is now teaching, but in a different in a different avenue, a different direction, because I'm a teacher, but I'm just teaching a different population now, a different clientele now, And so I think also we can relate in this conversation mindset also to age, in that, so you don't have to retire when you're 65 or 60 or 50 or whatever, because there's so much else out there and so much more time. Well, maybe not so much. I mean, we don't know how much time we have, obviously, but there's just so much out there that can be done, that needs to be done. And I'm just not prepared to be sitting every day on the couch watching Netflix. I mean, what's that about, so mindset is such a huge thing. And now that I'm thinking of it, the business coach that I have, her mantra is mindset, strategy, action. She says lots of people have mindset, but they don't have strategy and they don't take any action. Or sometimes people will have a mindset and they'll take action, but they don't have a strategy, so they're all over the place. Or sometimes they have mindset and they'll have a strategy, but then they sit there and they don't take any action on it. So you have to have those three components in order to move ahead, right?
Yes, yes, I like those components. Yes, it is important. Mindset, strategy, action.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Caroline. It was
Thank
great
you.
conversation. We discussed so much, and I'm sure the people who will listen, they have so much value from this conversation. And I absolutely love your energy. Yes, you're just
Thank you.
shining, shining,
Thank
and
you.
yes, and I wish you success, shine to more people. And of
Thank
course,
you.
those people who listening to us, connect with Caroline because she's amazing and she can give so much from her knowledge, from her experience. Yes,
Thank
for
you.
your success.
Thank
Yes,
you.
and of
Thank
course,
you.
dream and find out what you really want because, as we said, life is short and you deserve to live life that you want. Yes, and everyone can do that if you believe you can find the way. Yes, it is always the way for everything when you believe.
Yes, I agree. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much, Caroline, and see you again.
Okay.